Well, Israel's government alleges Iranian missiles were launched towards its territory just hours after the two countries agreed to a ceasefire. Israel's defence minister says that its military will respond forcefully with powerful strikes. For more, we're joined now by Mehran Kamrava, who is a professor of government at Georgetown University in Qatar. Professor, good to have you on our show tonight. Now, tell us a bit more about what you've experienced in the past 24 hours. You live near Udeid Air Base, I understand. What was it like during the strikes by Iran?
Yes, I live about 30 kilometers away from Al Udeid, and although this is not an earthquake-prone country, it felt like there were these massive, powerful earthquakes where I live, and then they were followed by massive, loud noises, and it soon became apparent that that Iranians had hit Al Udeid with missiles. Over the course of the day, we had several warnings, first by the U.S. Embassy that encouraged American citizens to shelter in place. And then we found out that Qatar's airspace was closed to air traffic. And so there had been a sense of apprehension and fear that something might be in the offing, but it still caught everyone by surprise.
Now, Donald Trump thanked Iran for the advance notice. He got the warning that the US the embassy was about to be hit. So no US personnel, though, was killed or injured, and it appears the move was largely symbolic by Tehran. Would you agree? What was its intent in striking?
Well, it was geared as much for domestic audiences as it was for the United States and Israel. Iran had to respond politically. It could not simply sit quiet and let the Americans bomb Iran, because then there would be a political cost to pay domestically. But at the same time, it wanted to make sure that it does not escalate the conflict, particularly with a president at the helm in the United States who's extremely unpredictable and prone to making rash decisions. And so it was a highly choreographed attack. And as you mentioned, Iranians informed first the Qataris and then, of course, the Americans.
And just a correction there, of course, not the embassy that was struck, but of course the Al Udeid Air Base. What has been Doha's and the region's response to Iran launching an attack on Qatari soil?
Well, in the initial hours, Qatar came out with a very strong statement condemning the attack, seeing it as a violation of its sovereignty and saying that it has the right to respond. But of course, again, anyone who's looking at the situation knows that this is part of the choreographed response, and that Qatar and Iran have had relatively friendly relations, and they don't necessarily want those relations to be ruined. So everybody is now taking a sigh of relief. I think there's collective relief that at least the worst seems to be over.
Has Qatar had a role in mediating talks between Israel and Iran?
Not necessarily between Israel and Iran, but mediation is a pillar of Qatari foreign policy. And as such, Qatar has repeatedly offered to mediate between Iran and the United States. And it has made some inroads in that direction. But in this instance, of course, it played a very direct intermediary role, passing messages between Tehran and Washington.
What do you make of Donald Trump's comment on Iran's retaliation? Now that Iran has gotten it all out of their system, Iran can now proceed to peace and harmony in the region. It's a lot more complex than that for Tehran, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But of course, Donald Trump is not necessarily known for delving into complexities. He excels in simplicity. So Iran finds itself in a bit of a predicament, or actually much more of a predicament than it had 12 years ago. There's an awful lot of infrastructure that has been damaged and destroyed. The Revolutionary Guards have been severely depleted in terms of personnel, and material. And Iran's regional circumstances have also been undermined even further following the destruction of the so-called axis of resistance. So there's an awful lot of repair that Tehran needs to do from its perspective.
Professor Mehran Kamrava, we'll have to leave it there, but thank you so much for your time and analysis. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.